his ability is going to mean to what you want to do on defense?
I think that's, I'll talk about Shaq, but it's also an opportunity for me to compliment the free agents. I remember I came out and said you don't get to talk to the guys until they're actually signed, and that was a little bit of a learning experience for me. So Shaq's been great. He's got a leadership personality. He every day worked his tail off, and very talented, obviously, but I couldn't be more happy. But then you start talking about whatever number of free agents we brought in here, they're all going to contribute. They've all been really good for the locker room, really good for the team, and I know that that was something I was warned about, and it's been really good.
Thank you.
Yep.
John Reed, and then we'll go to Demetrius.
How you doing, Coach?
Good.
Can you give us a little update of just Trevor? I mean, he didn't, participate in a lot of the work, but just and we saw him on the side doing some little rehab. Can you give us an update of where he stands health-wise?
Yeah, if we had to go, we could have went. There being our trainers and Shadi are being a little cautious because right now, when you're a month out, hamstrings, you yank a hamstring out, you're going to miss early part of training camp. So we're just being cautious. That's that one muscle that, you guys have all seen it like I have. You pull a hamstring at this point, you're going to miss all your summer conditioning. So we were being somewhat conservative on it, but he actually could play a game if he had to.
Okay, we'll go to Demetrius, then we'll go to Mia O'Brien.
Hey, Coach, could you just talk about sort of Trevor's progress in terms of understanding an NFL playbook and then just working within your offense?
Yeah, him and Schottenheimer have been working on this well before the draft. His retention and carryover has been very good. Execution at times, like you would imagine, has been up and down, especially when they start changing the looks up on defense, which obviously is going to happen a ton. But we're very pleased with where he is. The summer's got to be great, and the training camp's got to be great.
How have you sort of seen him respond to adversity thus far?
Well, we haven't had a whole lot of it. That we'll know more in training camp when they, the OTA or Phase 3 and the mini camp. You're just not in competitive situations. You're not allowed to be in. There's no winner loser situations, and that's how you really find out about not just Trevor, but a majority of guys. And I'm looking forward to doing that, to find that out.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Mia, and then we'll go to D-Rock.
Hi, Urban. I know it was a question coming into voluntary workouts, the tight end room. What is your assessment through the 3 phases and now day 1 of mandatory minicamp of what you have at that position?
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that O'Shaughnessy and Ellison have been, they're 2 of the most improved really on the team. When you watch last year's film compared to this year, what I saw early in training camp, our Phase 2 was very, very much improved. We're still not where we need to be at that room right now, but we're getting closer.
Awesome. And then one other question. I was just curious, Leon Jacobs working out primarily with the defensive line, and obviously he played linebacker, if only in name, his first few years in the league. What led to that switch?
It's a 3-4. He's an outside linebacker, so he's still a linebacker, but it's a little bit different position, but it's Lorente and Kay Levon, it's that position. So it's really a Sam linebacker that also rushes. So it's a 3-4 versus 4-3.
Oh, and sorry, if I could do one more since you brought him up. Caleb on Chason, absent from practice today. If you could just explain maybe where he was?
Yeah, he got this morning tested positive for COVID, so they're going to retest him again, and that's why he wasn't here.
Awesome. Thanks, Urban.
Okay, we'll go D-Rock, and then we'll go James Palmer.
Urban, what's the process of walking the line between getting Trevor ready and winning games and making sure that he kind of develops on that first year and winning games?
Well, that was a big reason why I hired 2 coaches with a lot of experience in that regard, and that's Brian Schottenheimer and Bevel. In college, you have that tightrope. I think it's a great question because that's reality. The reality is that, and everybody in this organization knows, whoever's going to be on that field is going to give us the best chance to win. We're not looking 4 or 5 down the road, but the reality is that you got the number 1 pick overall. So Bevel and Schottenheimer, I'm leaning on them, but ultimately I got to make a decision for the guys got to help us win. But that's a great question. That's a daily conversation as well.
So has it changed over the years in terms of, I mean, I know you looked at, freshmen used to be looked at as like, anything you can get out of them is gravy, but now they're kind of counted to be major contributors. So same thing with rookies. Is it changed, in the way that you've dealt with football over the years?
I can speak. Once again, I'm not going to speak if I don't know. I hired two guys with wealth of experience for that reason. In college, it did change dramatically. There was no, I remember, you might remember back, Pete Carroll started it, the red shirts were gone. We don't red shirt. If you're not good enough, you won't play, but everybody's ready. And I think the NFL, from what I'm experiencing so far, the best players are going to play. And so that's the mentality.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go James, and then we'll go Hayes.
Urban, hope you're doing well. Good to see you. And kind of what, in that same vein, defensively going against Trevor, how do you find that balance between mixing it up and giving him making it really, really hard on him while he's learning so much in the league? How much do you want to make things difficult with different looks to get him up to speed, but he's also learning so much offensively at the same time?
Yeah, I think the phase 2 was more just installing, and then as many times you can see today, even though he didn't get some of those team reps, we're going to go watch it on film. But reality is the complications of the game are what slows development of quarterbacks. And so the idea of being early on, get them installation, now it's all against a variety of looks that you'll see.
And also, just real quick, what do you want him to do between now and camp, the end of mandatory minicamp and the start of training camp? What did you guys lay out a specific plan? Will you do that for him?
Yeah, Pete, who works with him, the trainer, and then Schottenheimer and Bevel and myself, I'll meet with him as well. But I'm going to make a big push that you look at the Jaguars as a team. They lost some games, and once again, I refuse to believe just bad players. That's too easy to say that, or bad coaches. I don't believe that either. I believe that we weren't the biggest, strongest, fastest version of ourselves either. So I expect this team, we're used to a certain way of doing our business, and I just talked to our team about that. I expect us to have a great offseason and show up ready to compete.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we'll go Hayes, and then we'll go Mark Long.
Hey, Urban, how is ETN developing for you?
Good. I saw flashes of what I remember seeing in college here the last week and a half. The Jaguars, when you look at statistically, big plays were very hard to find last year, and this guy's a big play written all over it. He's a space player, so ideally we're going to be one of those multiple offenses that has spread elements as well as the YY or the two tights. I think it's hard to defend if he can do both. And he's a space player, and you could see that the last few practices.
Great, thank you.
All right, we'll go Mark Long and then John Shipley.
Hi, Urban. Are you out of your comfort zone by not having daily winners and losers or a lot of competition? And then secondly, was the kicking competition, was that as close to what we'll see in the fall as maybe you've been able to do during OTAs today?
Yeah, I am used to, the winner loser identifies the guys that, number one quality we're looking for is competitive spirit, and that's hard right now. But, these guys, once again, are NFL athletes. If you weren't not an elite competitor, you're not going to be at this level. So, that's something I'm looking forward to in the fall. But, yeah, I think college is, it's so much different because you're getting a 17-year-old you don't know. And some belong at college football, some don't. To say a guy's made it through college, high school and college, he's an NFL player. So I'm learning. I expected it to be a little different, but if you're not a competitor, you certainly wouldn't be here. So it's a little bit different, but I look forward to doing that. We're going to do a bunch of it in training camp. And the kicker situation, that's exactly what that was. That we have two guys that are very talented kickers, very talented, and we're going to do that quite often before we have to make a decision.
All right, we'll go John Shipley and then Gene Fournette.
Hey, Urban, I know you guys have a few tryout players in this week. Can you tell us anything about bringing in Laquan Treadwell for the tryout and maybe what you kind of see in him on the practice field?
Yeah, I first saw his name, and I remembered him very well from high school, obviously, and he had a nice career at Ole Miss, first-round draft pick, and I spent some time with him today. But I think we brought an offensive lineman, two defensive players, and Treadwell. So I thought he looked pretty good, big body that can run and great hands. So I was surprised at his name when I saw his name and Trent brought him to me. I just remembered him very well, and he didn't disappoint today.
Thanks, Urban.
Okay, we go Gene Fournette and then Ashlyn Sullivan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Gene.
Can you hear me? Good. Okay. Hey, Urban. When you look at Trevor, and I don't know if you can make a full assessment on this at this point without the pads on. Any concerns on your part about a rookie quarterback like Trevor resisting the urge to think that he can fit balls in anywhere? Because have you noticed that he can sense the difference in how windows close a lot faster here, even though you're only in OTAs?
That is a great question because that's reality. That you look at the step, it's from high school to college, everything gets a little faster. From college to pro, everything gets much faster. And so that's, we're coaching them through that. We did have a couple bad practices where, the balls are kind of try to pound them in there, and it is a much faster game because it's the best of the best on that side of the ball. So that's something we're coaching them through, but it is a concern.
Do you feel like he's got the because of his ability to grasp things quickly, that's something that will get better as time goes on? And even though that doesn't mean you won't make a mistake.
Yeah, but it's our job, Gene, also to get him in those situations as much as possible. And we have not been able to do that much. Just once again, you're not allowed to be in those competitive where the defense is actually breaking on the ball hard. They're laid off right now. So that will be something that will be instrumental in training camp when we start.
Thank you.
Last one here, Ashlyn Sullivan.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned how pleased you were with the free agency class, and Jihad Ward is a guy we always watch him in warm-ups, and he seems to be really meshing with the defensive line. What have you seen from him? Well,
Joe Cullen, that was a guy from the start. Joe wanted him, and I remember from his college days, and Joe, his comments were spot on about what kind of worker he is, what kind of teammate he is, and what kind of competitor he is, and so far he's been fantastic. So he's been a great addition.